Hello, I'm Chandra Poston and welcome to my channel. Today I am making sourdough spelt pizza. I am using a 100% white spelt, which I buy by the 25-pound bag. I buy it from a food buying co-op in my area, but I've also found it on Amazon. That's a great source as well. I use spelt because a few years ago my husband and I found that wheat, modern wheat, that's just the wheat you find everywhere when you buy bread, rolls, pizza, was an irritation for us, so a sensitivity. We can eat it and we don't have like a big reaction immediately, but we do notice things over time. Spelt, however, and especially when it's sourdough, although it still has gluten, it's a different form of gluten and it's more easily tolerated by people like us. So it feels amazing to be able to eat all these things that we thought we couldn't, and when we did, would maybe not feel so great. And then, so you have a different form of gluten in the spelt, and then when you make it sourdough and ferment it, the gluten is actually degraded further, so you're just dealing with less gluten in your system, which can be an irritant as well. So we've had really great success. I will put this recipe down below, but I am using flour, salt, here's my starter going in. I make a well in the middle of the flour, put water, add the starter to that, as well as olive oil and some honey, and I'll mix this all up. So gluten is what gives bread products their structure, but when you first mix a dough, especially a wet one like this, there's no organization to that gluten. You can organize gluten and make it stronger by kneading, but also by letting it sit, especially a wet dough. The water will help those gluten strands begin to organize. And when they are organized, they are stronger and much easier to work with. So just by letting this dough sit for about an hour, I can then come back and work with it without it being a total sticky mess. I gotta put you down. So you can see this is already getting bubbly, which is beautiful. The starter is doing its thing. And this is really more of a no-knead recipe than anything else. You really don't need to do as much. You can do as much or as little stretching as you want of this dough, but it does help to strengthen that gluten, organize the strands, and get the nice bubbles going. So I am going to stretch this just a couple times. my gosh, I am about to look like I have never ever done this before, which is not true. I have done it. I think, I was trying to not get oil under the dough, between the dough and the paper, because then it can sometimes make it hard to stretch the dough out because it will keep sliding back on that oil. However, the nice thing about having some oil on your hands is that you don't stick to the dough so much, and the dough doesn't stick to everything else. But I worked it out, got them separated, it was no big deal. Dough is very forgiving. Ah, this sauce is so good and so incredibly simple to make. I will link this recipe down below. It's somebody else's recipe. It's really great. And I make a bunch of it at one time and freeze it in these jars so that it's just ready to go, which makes it even simpler. Thinking about eating this pizza tonight.
Milk for mommy.
Alright, put it on. Oh, nice. Got an assistant. Is one block of cheese enough? I don't think so. Okay, let's pour this on and grate some more. Side note, these peppers are from my garden, and it's the first time I've ever grown peppers. I never thought I could, and I'm growing the most beautiful peppers this year. These are, well, you saw some jalapenos in there, which we are not using on the pizza, but those are prolific, and these are carbachi peppers. I got them because they were not spicy, and they're supposed to be good for snacking on in the garden, and they have been.
Not me.
You do some too.
More bullets. More. More.
Okay, now let's do the onion. Okay, that looks good. I bake these as hot as my oven will go, which is 500 degrees, and I just bake them until they're done, until they look good. 10 to 20 minutes usually, depending on the temperature the dough is when it goes in. When I take my pizzas out, I like to let them sit on a cooling rack for as long as we can manage, just to let the crust crisp a little bit before, without steaming on the cutting board. We manage longer than others sometimes. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll try spelt pizza dough sometime. It's really tasty. Nobody I know has ever said, "What did you put in this?" They've just said, "This is really good."